Greetings and salutations, this is Frederick John. If you're watching this, you probably want to learn how to use Linux and work on a Linux environment, work on a Linux machine, and you value your time. You don't want to sit through a couple-hour course. You want just the meat and potatoes, just the highlights, the important stuff, the things that you need to know. I'm a web developer. I've taken everything that I know about Linux and about the command prompt terminal, and I've dissected it and recompiled it into a accelerated tutorial which is going to teach you all of the important stuff in one sitting. After watching this video, you take some notes. You'll have to memorize some of the commands, but you'll have a solid foundation of how to work in a Linux environment and how to use the command prompt and how to use the terminal. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's get started. Let's jump right in. I'm going to be using a Mac here to get started. Let's open up a terminal prompt. So as you can see on the top, it's going to say bash, which is basically, this is a bash shell. I'm on a Mac operating system. If you're on a Windows, you do have the command line. I'm going to recommend you use PowerShell. That's going to give you a lot more abilities, including the ability to use Linux-like commands like you're going to see me do here. This right here indicates the user, which is Freddy, and on the host machine, Frederick's iMac. This is basically what you get when you're using the terminal, and you're going to be operating around without a GUI, which is a graphical user interface. You're going to be using a CLI, a command line interface. So the first command I want to show you typed in is who am I? You type the command who am I just like that and hit enter. You'll see the command prompt is returned to me, and it's given me a response here, and that response is Freddy. So if I don't know what user I'm currently logged in as, I can ask the computer to return the current logged in user with that command, who am I? If I want to know where I am in regards to which directory on the machine is the command line currently located, so I could say pwd, the present working directory, or it could be print working directory. So right now I'm in /users/Freddy. So this is going to give me the present working directory. For some examples in this video, I want to navigate to a different directory. Now, if you're used to using a graphical user interface, this is the same as opening up a folder. You would double click a folder to open it up. You would see everything in that folder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change directories, and the name of the directory I'm going to is programming. It's a directory that's already made up on my computer called programming. Now you can see my prompt is returned, and there's an addition onto the prompt, the word programming, indicating that I'm in my home directory, and inside the home directory I'm in the programming directory. Now if I type present working directory, it's going to tell me users Freddy programming. So I was just able to change directories using the command cd, and then by giving the directory that I want to change to. This is the exact same thing as double clicking a folder. If you double click a folder, you'd be able to open it up, see what's inside. If I want to see what's inside programming, I ask for it to list the contents with ls. That stands for list. So if you could please list the contents of this directory, thank you so much. It has several different objects in here. Now you can see I have it color coded so that directories are given a bluish purple color, and they're also followed by a slash, so you can tell that that is a directory. So I have a folder named Elixir, folder named Go, Node, Python, Ruby, and then some type of image. The ls command also comes with some additional options. For example, I could type ls-l to give a long listing. Now this is going to give me the permissions as well as who the directory belongs to, the size of the directory, and the date last modified. By giving it the -L option, I was able to get more information. There's other options as well. We're going to go over those soon. So what have we done so far? How to move change directory, which is cd, change directory, to the new directory, Python. I could follow it with a /, but you don't have to. I could just write Python like I did with programming. I could follow it with a /. If I want to see what's in the Python directory, I ls, and it's going to show me that there is a file named hello.py. So let's go backwards. Now we've gone forward. How do we go backwards? Well, it makes sense that we could do change directory and programming, right? Because when we change directory to programming or to Python, it took us to that directory. Now if we want to go to programming, we could do maybe change directory programming. This is an error. No such file or directory. Now what does that mean? It's giving me an error. It's telling me what you're trying to do, you can't do. And the reason why, there is no file or directory named programming. Okay, so what does that mean? What it's doing is it's looking within the current directory. It's looking within Python. And it's looking for a directory called programming. Well, if we do an ls, we could see the list of the folder Python only has one file, and the file is named hello. There is no programming directory. Okay, so when we give it a command, it's only looking at the scope of the current folder, the current directory. It's only looking within Python. So we can't go backwards like that. To go backwards, we could do change directory ... That's going to take us to the previous directory. It's going to take us up one level, okay? That's programming. Now, as you can see, we could print the working directory, the present working directory, users Freddy programming. Okay, I'm going to change directory again to Python, and now let's say we wanted to go back to where we started, my home directory. We could do cd ... Now remember, that takes us up one level. We know that the result of this command is going to be putting us in the programming directory. But we want to go to the home directory. So what if we do /... Take us to the previous directory and then take us to the directory before that. Takes us back to the home directory. Now, when we moved backwards last time, we moved 2 directories back. We went from Python back to the home directory. What if we wanted to go straight to Python? We know that there's a folder called Python. We know that the folder is located within the programming directory, and it's called Python. So let's see if we can go 2 directories forward. It returns the prompt, programming Python. Now I know a lot of people are thinking, hey, this is Learn Linux in a Day, and you are on a Macintosh. Well, Mac and Linux are both Unix-like systems, so they share a lot of similarities. However, I will jump over to Ubuntu so we can see what type of environment that looks like. Now, if you're using Ubuntu, here I'm using 16.04. You can open up the terminal, and you'll see, similar to my examples earlier with the Macintosh, I am parallels at Ubuntu. That's the user at the machine name. Okay, so if we do who am I, parallels, print the working directory, root, home, parallels. The /, remember, that stands for the root directory. Everything is inside the root directory. From there I'm in home, and from there I'm in the parallels directory. If I want to list the contents of the directory, I can do that with an ls command. Remember, we can give our commands some different options. Okay, for example, ls comes with a -a option. It also comes with a -l for list long or list all, and we can always combine them -la. So you'll want to be familiar both with the commands and the options that can be passed as well. Now when we have our screen full of text and we want to get rid of it, we can do that with the Control L commands. Or you can also, let's do something like this, you can also do clear and it will clear the screen. Type the words clear, hit enter, the screen clears. Control L does the same thing. So let's say we want to see what's in the desktop, what's on the desktop. Let's say what's in the desktop directory. We could do cd desktop, of course, and then ls. You could see parallels shared folder. And that's right here. You could see that. A lot of times you'll be using Linux and you're going to be SSH into that Linux box. Here, Ubuntu gives you a nice GUI. So if I want to see what's on the desktop, I can visually see that this folder is here. If you're using SSH, you won't have this. Okay, so just keep in mind that this is the graphical user interface. I'm seeing this folder, where here with the command line interface, I'm typing ls. I'm giving the ls command on the desktop, and that's telling me what is on the desktop, what is in the desktop directory. So keep in mind that that's the same thing. Now, I don't have to go into a directory. I don't have to navigate into a directory to be able to list the contents of it, because I know that the desktop directory is there. I can always ls desktop, and it's going to give me the same result. So now that we know how to navigate around Linux, let's start working with some files and doing some things that are very common on an everyday basis. Let's start by clearing our screen, and let's navigate to the desktop. And then in here, I'm going to make a new directory. And remember, directory is just a folder. Make dir, mkdir, and then the name I want the directory to be. And I'm going to call it folder 6. I'm going to zoom out here so you can see. Right away, it's returned the prompt to me and produced on the desktop folder 6. So to make a directory is very simple. mkdir. It's just a command you'll need to know. Also, I want to point out, all that was returned was the prompt. When you're using the command prompt, it will show you an error when something doesn't work right. Generally, when something does work right, it just returns the prompt to you. So if you weren't able to see that this was created, by not having any errors and by knowing that this is the command to make a directory, you know that that's going to be on the desktop. Of course, I can ls to list the contents and see that the folder is in fact there. I can also make a directory, and let's call that folder 99. And I can give another command by using two and signs. By putting ampersand, ampersand, I can now put a brand new command right there to be followed after the make dir command. And I'm going to cd folder 99. So what this is on one line I have a command to make directory folder 99, and then after that cd into the new directory that was just created, folder 99. You can see folder 99 was created and it's put me in that directory. I'm going to create a file with the touch command, funnyfile.txt. And now if I ls, I can see that there's a funnyfile.txt within folder 99. If I want to see what's in folder 6, I can ls folder 6. Cannot access folder 6. No such file or directory. What happened here is a good example that commands are relative to the present working directory. I would have to back up to the desktop before I can access the command ls folder 6, and it's just going to return the prompt because there is nothing in folder 6. But there is a file in folder 99. What I could do right now is move that file from folder 99 to folder 6. Very simple. I'm going to move folder 99 funnyfile.txt. and I'm going to move that to folder 6. So what this command did was the file that I had created in folder 99 is no longer there. I moved that file, and the directory that I moved it to was folder 6. Funny file, txt. I can copy funnyfile.txt to new file.txt. CP stands for copy. Now what did that do? It created a new file with the contents of funny file. There's no contents of funny file. We can create content. Echo is a command to print to the screen, or print to the standard output. So let's echo the word hello, and we're going to put that in funnyfile.txt. Now, right now I have two files here, funny file and new file, but I don't know what's inside those files. So let's take a peek inside funny file with the command cat funnyfile.txt. It says hello. So echo, print to the standard output, hello. Where do I want to put that? Just use this greater than sign. Indicate where it's going. See how it looks like a little arrow? That's how I think of it. I'm going to put the word hello in funnyfile.txt. If I cat new file.txt, there's nothing there, so it just returns the prompt. Now I want to show you something. I'm typing all the commands out. If I want to return to the previous command, I could just press the up arrow, and it gives me the last command that I typed. And I could cycle through the previous commands by continuing to type the up arrow or the down arrow. It's a way to save a little time. Another shortcut is if I want to type, let's say, say I'm on the desktop and I want to make a directory called shelf life, right? And I want to cd into shelf life. I can cd sh. If I hit tab, it will autocomplete for me. I don't have to type out shelf life. Now one thing, if I want to go to folder 99 and I type cdfol, I can't hit tab. Well, I did hit tab and it did put folder because there's two folders called folder, but it doesn't know which one I want to go to. So I didn't think it would do anything, but in fact it did type folder, and now if I type 9 and hit tab, it will complete it for me because there is only one folder that has a 9 that it can complete. So if it can auto complete it, it will. I'm going to make directory called stuff. I'm going to cd into stuff, and right now there's nothing in it, of course, but let's make a file. Let's use nano cats.txt. Nano is a text editor, and you can see here that it's a new file that I'm creating because cats.txt did not exist before. And I'm going to put some content in here. Some people have cats, some people have dogs, some people have no pets. Control X. Do I want to save the changes? Y. And the file name to write to, cats.txt. I'm going to hit enter. Now in my file, cats.txt, it's going to give me the contents with the cat command. You know what I did forget? Some people have goldfish. I can echo. Some people have goldfish. And I can append that to cats.txt. And now if I cats.txt, you'll see it's appended. Some people have goldfish. Now you may have noticed that I used 2 greater than signs to append this text, but earlier I used 1 to put the word hello in a file. Why did I use 2 here? Well, when I first echoed hello, funny file was an empty file. There was nothing in it. So it put the echo, it put whatever I told it to, which is whatever's between the quotes, into funny file. And that was hello. Here, cats.txt is not an empty file. It has contents. I don't want to erase any contents. I want to append a line to that file. If I want to echo author, Frederick John, and I only use 1 greater than sign, cats.txt, it will let me do that. The problem is it overwrites everything that's already in the file. Let's switch gears for a moment and demonstrate how the SSH, the secure shell, actually works. I'm going to log into a machine that's on my network here using SSH. It's my Raspberry Pi. So it's very easy to do. You just type the command SSH and then you type the username that you're going to be logging in as and then the IP address. Now if you were going to be using SSH to connect to a server, you would type the IP address of the server. In this case, it's within the network, so it's not a public IP address, it's a network address, and I have it copied to the clipboard here, so I'm just going to paste it. It's going to say that the authenticity cannot be established. Are you sure you want to continue? And then it's going to ask for a password. So the password by default is Raspberry on the Raspberry Pis. Once I type that in, it should allow me access. It did not. I must have spelled Raspberry wrong. Okay, here we are. Now you can see that my user has changed. Instead of parallels at Ubuntu, remember that's user at the machine, I'm now Pi at Raspberry. So if I type who am I, Pi. Present working directory, print the working directory, home, Pi. Now from here I can operate and run commands just as if I was using my Raspberry Pi. This is a completely new machine. And the first thing that you do when you get a Linux machine is you want to make sure that everything's upgraded and updated and all the software is up to date. And you do that by typing apt-get update. Now, this will need to be prefaced with the sudo command, the super user. So I'll need to add sudo to the front. And it will go ahead and download from the Raspberry Pi archives all of the necessary software updates that I need. Now what that does, the update command, is it brings all of those packages in and it updates all of your packages, but they're not actually going to be installed yet. It just updates everything to the latest packages. To install them, you'll have to run another command, which is apt-get, and that's upgrade. Now by running that command, it will install everything, and it's going to say once you install new software, it's going to take up some amount of disk space. In this case, 252 KB, will be used. Do you want to continue? I'm going to hit yes. Now that will actually go ahead and install those updates. And whichever Linux system that you're using, the first step is going to be, after you've downloaded and installed the operating system, to get all the updates and everything and make sure that everything is updated to the latest versions, so that everything's going to be working correctly for you. So that's two things that I wanted to demonstrate: how to SSH into another machine, and then also the first thing that you should do when you are starting out on a fresh install of Linux is to run the apt-get update, or sudo apt-get update and then upgrade commands. Now that everything's downloaded and installed, I'm going to clear my screen. As a beginner, for somebody who's just recently learned Linux and just started using it, there's a few commands that I want to make sure that I leave you with, because they will help you and they will make your life a little bit easier. One thing I want to make sure that you understand is, if you're typing in commands, you could use the up arrow to retrieve the last command that you typed, and you could continue to filter through and find those commands by using the up and down arrows. So if you just typed a command and you messed up the ending, you forgot to put an E on, and you typed it in like that, you wouldn't have to go through and type it all in again. You could just hit the up arrow and it'll bring it up, and then you could add the E. It makes it very simple. There's a command that you may need if you're looking at some documentation online and you're trying to figure out why something is not working, and you need you need to know which operating system you're running or which version you're running. You can easily retrieve that information running this command, cat etc, and then the *-release. It's going to give you the name of the operating system that you're running, your version, and everything like that. So if you're checking documentation online and the documentation you're looking at is for a Linux CentOS and you're using Linux 8 Jesse, that's not going to work. That's if you're on a different operating system, there are some subtle differences between them. And while a lot of the commands and a lot of the code is interchangeable, there may be some things that are not going to work on your particular system. So you want to make sure that you're reading documentation that is designed for your operating system. If you have files or directories that you need to change the ownership of, if they're saved under root access and you can't access them, you can change ownership using the chown command, followed by the user who is going to be given access, and then followed by the name of the file, whatever the name of the file is. If you want to run a command as the root user, remember root is the highest level, it's the admin, it's the same as admin on Windows. You can run superuser_do and then the command. Now let's say you run a command. When I was first starting out at Linux, this happened to me all the time. I would run a command and it would say that it cannot do that, I don't have root access, and then I'd have to type it all in again and then put sudo in the front. And then I found out I can always just hit the up arrow, and then I can go to the front and hit sudo, and that will work as well. But I found out there's also an easier way, which is if you type a command in and it says, oh, you're not root, you need root access to do this, you could do sudo and ! That will run the previous command as sudo, so you don't have to do anything else besides that.